Hey guys, this is Tom with the Strength Agenda. I hope you guys had a good Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope that 2014 is just as good, if not better, than 2013 was for you. With that being said, we are starting a new Q&A series. I don't know if we're starting it, we're restarting it, whatever. I got a bunch of questions here I got to get knocked out, but the first one I wanted to talk about today, which is kind of an important one for me in particular, is about rotator cuffs. The question I have is, hey Tom, I have experienced some rotator cuff pain. I was wondering what you recommend for making this pain go away and what you would recommend for keeping it at bay as I go through training. That is a pretty common injury for athletes. I think anything with your shoulder, rotator cuff area, I think that's going to happen with overuse, wear and tear, stuff like that. Let's go with a little bit of an anatomy lesson though, because some people don't really know what exactly the rotator cuff is. Okay, it's four muscles that surround your shoulder joint. All right, you have your supraspinatus, your infraspinatus, your teres minor, and your subscapularis. Okay, those four kind of act as a cushion or like a covering for your shoulder joint. It provides stability. Those muscles are nice and tight and functioning. You have a very good solid joint. You can do all sorts of things, absorb a lot of force. When the muscles are loose or not functioning properly, that's usually when it leads to injury. If one of those muscles, if one out of the four muscles isn't working properly, the other three kind of have to pick up the slack, and that's when pain and stuff like that starts occurring. Added wear and tear that you really don't want on the joint, and then eventually it can lead to a tear. Although everything I've kind of seen when it comes to the rotator cuff, most of the tears that happen on the rotator cuff tendons, which attach to the muscles, are they come from the supraspinatus muscle tendon. So there you go. I don't know if that helps you or not, but just little extra knowledge just for you. All right. So the reason I tell you that is just because you hear a lot of athletes talking about like pumping up the rotator cuff or something before they go and do some sort of a sport. I know I do this a little bit. I'll do some like ITY stuff with a band before I go to training, just kind of to make sure my joint there's some blood flow going in there and it's warm and it's ready to go. I recommend before you train doing something to get your shoulders waking up, whether it's hanging from a bar, doing some little twisting, some scap pull-ups from a bar. Before you train, doing some, just windmills with your arms, doing some forward and back motions or whatnot with weight in your hand, without weight in your hand, I don't really care. Doing some ITY stuff on your own, some rotator cuff baseball exercises, stuff like that. Before you train, I think is good because you don't want to go into training, whether you're bench pressing, snatching, handstand push-ups, whatever the hell you're doing. You don't want to do it with a cold muscles. You'll pull, tear, rip something. You don't want to do that. So get some blood flow in there before each training session. It doesn't have to take very long, like a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes. That's it. Okay. But in terms of maintaining shoulder health, and this goes for really any muscle group, any joint in the body, I'm actually writing an article right now for the Strength Agenda. I personally think it's going to be really good. But it talks about pain management with 3 specific joint areas. We talk about the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, talking about different things, tie-ins, all that nonsense. It's a little more in-depth than this, but this is talking specifically about the rotator cuff, okay? But stay tuned for that article. I think it's going to be good. Probably one of the better ones I've written in a while. Anyways, and by the way, I keep looking down. For any of you that watch these videos and you notice that I look down a lot, it's because before I do these, I write out notes, okay? I just don't like flying off the cuff doing these things like that. I want you guys to have information that you need. So I write down a few notes, make sure I don't sound like a bumbling dumbass when I do these. One thing I want to talk about in terms of maintaining shoulder joint, any other joint really health, is there's 3 different types of training modes, I guess. And there are 3 kind of sports that correlate with these training modes. The first one is like weightlifting type stuff. Snatch, clean and jerk, explosive movements, box jumps, plyo push-ups, all that stuff. High intensity, low weight, or low reps, I'm sorry. Not high intensity meaning high weight, low reps. And these are done explosively and moving a lot of weight in a very short period of time, right? And I just consider that weightlifting type movements. The next type is I have powerlifting movements, all right? These also may be a little bit on the lower rep, but can be in about the medium rep range, 5 to 10, something like that. more strength lift like type lifts. You have the bench press, the deadlift, the squat, rows, pull-ups, stuff like that. Compound movements, but they still put a lot of stress on the body. And then you have what I consider like bodybuilding type movements. High rep stuff, curls, tricep extensions, sit-ups, whatever. I don't even know if sit-ups count. I don't know. I just said that. Leg extensions, leg curls, calf raises, whatever. But more isolated movements that are in the higher rep range, lightweight, low intensity, but high reps. Okay, I have buddies that do stuff for like sets of 25, 50. I think that's dumb. But when I do stuff like that, I'll do it anywhere between like 10, 15. Sometimes I'll do a set of 20 if I'm feeling froggy. But the reason I bring that up is because I want to point out the importance of including each of those three groups in your training system. Now, depending on the sport you're doing, depending on what you're training for, what the demands are, the percentage that you're going to go in each of those groups is going to be different. For me, for instance, obviously that first group I mentioned is my number one priority. I want to do the best I can at that, but I need to include the other stuff if I want to be well-rounded and be as injury-free as possible. Shit's going to happen. You're going to get hurt. Face it, it's going to happen, okay? You're not going to be a supple leopard all the time. But you do stuff to kind of prevent injuries, put yourself in good positioning and whatnot. But for me, the biggest thing that has helped in terms of injury prevention is at the end of training session, whether it's one exercise, two, you just do some light bodybuilding type stuff. Sometimes it'll be use the change plates, bands, light dumbbells, whatever, and just do some reps. If you've read any of my articles on the Strength Agenda, you know how big of a proponent I am of blood flow. Blood flow helps healing. Blood flow keeps your muscles and your joints nice and happy and healthy. So the more reps you do with lighter weight, more of a little bit of a pump or whatever you want to, however you want to refer to it, a pump, get the blood flow going in there, it's going to make it feel better, okay? So in terms of making the joint happy and prolonging your career, trying to prevent injury as much as possible, at the end of each training session, like I said, whether it's one or two exercises, grab some dumbbells, grab a band, grab some change plates, and do one or two, maybe three sets of like 15 to 20 reps. Just nothing light, range of motion. Don't force your way or speed your way through do it. Nice and easy, just getting range of motion and blood flow going. I'm going to include a video in the description section for the Strength Agenda. A while ago, I did a video on shoulder warm-ups. A little bit different than, the rotator cuff specific, but there are a lot of exercises in there that you can use. A while ago, I had pulled some of the Team MD USA guys to demonstrate their shoulder warm-ups that they do in order to do what they do every day, which is snatch, clean, and jerk. Mike is the one that comes to mind. He actually had the pretty detailed one that he gave me. I think Matt is in there. I might even have put some of my stuff in there, but I'm going to include that video in the description section so you guys can see some different exercises, all right? But there are tons of exercises. I'm not a huge fan of Wikipedia, but you go on there, even they had some exercises that I hadn't even thought of. But just pick some exercises. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to do the whole gamut. You don't have to do 20 different things. One or two things at a time. Do them before your training, maybe to get yourself warmed up, not as much intensity, very light, if any, weight at all. And then after training, do maybe a little more weight, but one or two sets. Just like I said, before and after training is good in order to prevent injury. If you have some issues with your rotator cuff, if it's been chronic, I mean longer than, if it's been going on for quite some time, go see somebody, all right? You may not have a tear, but you may have a rotator cuff impingement, which 9 times out of 10 is what people have. You have to be really pushing it to tear your rotator cuff. Sometimes you just have an impingement, which you can be misdiagnosed from time to time. But find somebody that's reputable that works with athletes, have them take a look at it. They will be able to help you more than you trying to beat your head up against the wall trying to figure out what's going on. If it's just happened not too long ago, 9 times out of 10, you probably just strained something. So, take it easy a little bit. Do some of these exercises that are listed below or whatever you Google and whatnot, and do the exercises. Like I said, you don't have to go crazy on them. A little bit here and there. Before training, after training, whatever's comfortable for you, and make sure you properly warm up, though, before you train. You never want to train with a cold muscle. Doesn't have to be a 10-20 minute warm-up. It can be 5 minutes, whatever's comfortable for you, but do something to warm your shoulders up beforehand. do something afterwards, get the blood flow in there, and keep the muscle joints healthy. Hopefully that answers your question on rotator cuffs. If you guys have any other questions, in the comments section below, ask away. Like I said, I got a list. I got about 6 or 7 different topics here I'm going to be going over in the next few days. I'll be posting these videos regularly. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Find me on Facebook, the Twitter account at Strength Agenda, the Strength Agenda Facebook page, or thestrengthagenda.com. Go ahead and find me on there and send me an email, and I will be happy to take care of stuff when I can. All right. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.